Hey, Stoney here with another game of Mechabellum, and this is a Clash of Titans. At the bottom here, we have none other than Nsako, currently number 4 in the world, number 2 in the English server, and he's up against Steelsen. He is definitely top 10 in the world. I think he could be number 1 or 2 in the Russian-speaking server. This game goes on to 12 rounds, so we can expect both players giving their real best to win on the other side. Right off the bat, we have Sacco going aggro with the 2 sledgehammers and the fence, and going asymmetrical all the way to the right-hand side. Steelsen playing more of as a defensive player, having his tarantulas all the way back by the tower. I'm not the biggest fan of having tarantulas this far back because it really reduces the distance that you have to work with to put down late arriving shafts. I would prefer the tarantulas to go at least here, but we'll see. Steelsen is above 2000 MMR. He knows what he's doing, right? Perhaps that's something he wants to turn the tarantula into, will be a ranged and persistent chaff clear for the entire turn, while putting down more units in front of the tarantula. Round 1, it looks like there's going to be a pretty dominant position for Steelsen. Not only that the sledgehammers cannot take on the tarantula one-on-one, they also are not very good against chaff. And of course, with the level 3 marksman, he is able to take care of business. So the round 1 goes to Steelsen. We got reinforcement cards. Missile strike is interesting for Sacco. Actually, it's pretty good for both. Strike spec is also excellent. Right now, there's very little coverage on the side, especially for Sacco, right? So he needs to get something defending in case there's a strike spec trawler that's popping in here, or even just strike spec arc lights. Alright, we're going to have a sneaky flank attack coming from the side with the missile to clear out the fans. A very smart play. It almost guarantees that this crawler will get to the tower. It is now a level up on the armor, which means these crawlers can survive a bit longer. 2 sets of phoenixes gets put down. They're following the tanks here, serving as a means to destroy these tarantulas, which is now 3 on this side. Steelsen does lack a little bit of chaff because he spent the deployment 1 here on the tarantula and then the other 1 here for the flanking. But I think this round should still go to Steelsen because I don't see a way for Sacco's army to win once it's being debuffed. But we'll see. Ooh, very lucky with this Phoenix locking on to the tarantula right away, spending no time on those crawlers. But here comes the crawlers. But it looks like Sacco's Phoenix might just get to there. Nope, just a little too late. But as soon as these crawlers are done, as soon as the debuff is done, then there's going to be a 1-shot into the tower. And here goes the debuff. And with still 4 sledgehammers left over, I think this game is going to become, or this round is going to become very close. Alright, we got another debuff coming in here. And with that, I think Steelsen is going to take this round. Nice. Alright, we're going to have round 3. Let's take a look at the reinforcement. Underground threat is interesting. Extended range Vulcan can really scale up in the long run. I wouldn't mind getting extended range Vulcan for Sacco, because right now Sacco is not set for his chaff clear. Right now the only chaff clear is usually the sledgehammers. So he can decide whether he wants to go with more sledges, arc lights, tarantulas of his own, or Vulcan. And with extended range, that just gives him a lot more options. He can use it as chaff clear. He can turn it into a carry unit, right? A giant killer down the road. He already has Phoenixes on the board, which means extended range will play well into the Phoenix as well. Alright, so it looks like there's going to be a underground threat from Sacco. and underground threat for Steel Sand. Steel Sand is going to put the underground threats right here in the middle. It's not going to achieve much because it's being caught by this crawler and this crawler. So remember, underground threat pops up about 2 squads of crawlers. So as long as you have 2 squads of your own, you should be in a pretty decent spot. Sacco hit the replicate button, but it's not going to do too well at the back line here, as we do have a tarantula, and the tarantula does do decent chop clear. However, at the front line here, now without the protection of these fans and also these crawlers, these guys are going to get quickly overrun. We also have super late arriving chaff as a result of the replicate, but ooh, here's the power debuff. And that power debuff is going to bring up a lot of sledgehammers here. Almost all of the sledgehammers are being cleared out. And with 2 tarantulas left over, they should be enough to deal with this horde of crawlers. We got unit drop on round 4. Fire Badger is interesting, especially for Steel Sand. Right now he is up against quite a few squads of replicate crawlers, so having Fire Badgers will actually be a pretty safe way to go. And also Fire Badgers themselves can help with the tanking. Wasp, I was going to say, would be pretty good for Sacco. Right now there is very minimal anti-air, so your Wasp can easily overwhelm that single marksman. So I think Steel Sand recognize the problem that's not just on the board, but potentially will be on the board with this Wasp being its biggest threat, and decided to just go with the Mustangs. Mustangs serve as a primary anti-air role, but also as a secondary chaff clear role. So in case some of these crawlers get split, right, the tarantulas aren't going to be very efficient at clearing out those crawlers. The Mustangs can step in and do the damage. Alright, it looks like Steel Sand did sell the flanking crawler that got tower for the last 2 rounds. And it also forced Sacco to get a tower upgrade because I'm not sure, maybe he wasn't confident that he was able to defend his tower. So a pretty good play, sneaky play by Steel Sand, just to bait out some overcommitment on one side. The Mustangs were doing work here. Too bad on the other side, the Mustang just went up a little bit too far out, and they were destroyed by the combination of the Stormcrawlers, also the Sledgehammers. Stormcrawlers is a great answer against the Tarantulas. They do great single target damage, and they also help out with the initial chaff clear. Alright, the tower debuff is just a little bit long, but it will arrive eventually. Now the question is, can this level 2 Mustang actually do anything against the rest of his army? There's a very good chance that once the tower debuff is done, and as you can see here, the Mustangs disappear under the constant barrage of these 2 Stormcrawlers. Amcor is probably going to go on a Mustang. Heavy armor, that's interesting, because right now heavy armor is not, maybe on a sledges, but sooner or later I think that sledge is going to get sold in exchange for a giant of some sort. And I'm actually surprised that Steel Sand didn't go for a damage item on the Mustangs, but instead opting for heavy armor on a ranged Tarantula. Okay. So this Tarantula is still going to walk ahead of the Mustangs with range. And they'll still continue to serve as a primary tank in Steel Sand's army. Triple Stormcrawlers now being added down for Sacco. Really trying to punish the immobility of these Tarantulas. Missile is added down. He's going to get a chaff, a Stormcrawler, and possibly some damage on these Sledgehammers. We got a pack of crawlers right here. I wonder if that's a temporary crawler on this side just to hold these units down, or is that something more permanent? Ooh, it looks like Sacco took field maintenance on his sledgehammers, knowing that there's a lot of units that do small trickling damage, like the Mustangs and also these Tarantulas, so that the sledgehammers will get a chance to actually heal themselves back to full health. It looks like the right side is going to be won by Sacco, maybe, and then the left side is being won by Steel Sand. But hold that thought, we do have a tower debuff, and we do have phoenixes and high-level sledgehammers, one with the heavy armor. So we might be able to see a win coming from Sacco. We'll see. Yep. So with a little help from the Stonecrawlers, this round is going to go to Sacco. Ooh, now we got a giant. If you're going to pick Fortress, your opponent's going to pick Melting Point, and then you're going to lose that exchange. So you kind of have to take Melting Point. And Melting Point is also good against Tarantulas, so it makes sense for Sacco to take Melting Point. But instead, he took the Typhoons. I wonder why the Typhoons. I wonder if there's going to be some concerns with Chaff Clear. I mean, so far he hasn't had that much of a problem with Chaff Clear. Yeah, I'm not sure. But it's okay to not take Melting Point because he already have 3 squads of Stormcrawlers. And if anything, let's say if there's going to be a Fortress putting down, he can just go ahead and level those Stormcrawlers and they'll do decent damage against the Giants. But wait a minute, Sacco is going on a very heavy flank coming from this side. But is that going to be a good one though? Because we already have Spider Mines on the Tarantulas, and this flank is going to get pretty much destroyed by that first couple rounds of Spider Mines. Now, round 2 is going to be a little better because Typhoon do carry shield, so that's going to protect them from the missiles. It's going to protect them a little bit from the Spider Mines, but not quite though. Wow, the round 1 flank gets absolutely destroyed. Nothing really left alive here. However, with all the units being pulled to the side, we have Sacco's strong side moving forward. Ooh, Stonecrawler now have launcher overload, effectively doubling their damage at the cost of a bit of range. And as long as there's going to be sledgehammers in front of these Stonecrawlers, I think they're going to do great. And as you can see here, these Stonecrawlers have clearing up a majority of with Steel Sand's army. But with the tanks dying, I don't think there's enough firepower to deal with the rest of his army. Now, I'm very curious on how Sacco is going to develop this flank. Senior attack is offered. It's a very expensive tech, but whoever takes this tech will start to pull ahead. So it looks like Steel Sand is going to go over the senior attack, and Sacco is going to skip in favor of more tempo. And speaking of tempo, we have the Big Daddy War Factory coming down on Sacco's board. Alright, so let's talk about this flank real quick. Right now what the flank is doing is just clear out a path to this part of the map. The Crawler is just going to go over to the Typhoons. All the backline is going to get focused on to the side flank. And that allows Sacco to have sort of a vanguard position by moving unit closer to this tower. Now, Steel Sand does recognize the danger, which is why he leveled this tower all the way up to level 3. But Sacco can theoretically very quickly push his units in here with the Sledgehammer with armor and also the War Factory. And that's exactly what he's going to do. However, Sacco's chaff clear is still not the greatest. Which means now with this underground threat popping in right in the middle of everything, it's going to delay a lot of Sacco's movement. There's also going to be crawlers coming in from this side, but Steel Sand has already predicted that and added oil. He doesn't need to defend on this side, or Sacco rather doesn't need to defend on this side, He just needs to delay it because he's going to get the tower on the other side. Okay, let's watch this game unfold here. So we got underground crawler. They are stalling for so long, causing so many crawlers to not catch up with their main army. But as you can see there, we got 3 tarantulas, high-level mustangs, multiple chaff are just being tied down here at the bottom. And that what allows Sacco to do is to just jam this war factory right in front of the tower, gets the debuff, and then start picking up everything on this side. On the other side of the board, it seems like Steel Saint is stuck on its oil. Yep, it's stuck on its oil, giving War Factory a few moments to kind of clean up before turning its attention to the rest of the army. Okay. Now, War Factory is pretty decent against spider mines as they do walk into the range of 2 of War Factory's back cannons. But with the level 4 marksman, with high level mustangs, it seems like this round is going to go to Steel Saint. But it is Sacco and anything is possible. There could be huge turnaround plays with Sacco. Smoke is picked up by both sides. It makes sense for Sacco to smoke maybe even closer to the oil. But right now he's decided to do it just a little before the oil. Just kind of forces the unit to walk onto the oil, which is a smart play. Double War Factory with 2 tech, range and launcher overloads. These 2 tech is going to turn these War Factories into extremely efficient killing machines. They can deal with chaff, they can deal with units. And right now with no melting point on the board, there's not even any EM on the board, it's just tarantulas after tarantulas with spider mines. I'm a little worried for Steel Saint. I love this move back here. This is a flank with high-level mustangs all the way from the backboard of Steel Saint. And it's going to go around the oil, come down here, and hopefully get tower and start moving eastward. We have tarantulas coming in on the upper flank, hopefully to draw like these chaff, like these crawlers and these fans. But the real action is here on the right-hand side with these 2 double-tech war factories. I think it's just going to go in and kill everything. There's nothing from Steel Saint's side that can really contest it at this point. And with the tower potentially going down in the next second, yeah, I don't know if Steel Saint can really contest it. But they are doing a lot of damage to this war factory, but just look at the damage he's doing it back. Right, the moment the tower debuff is over, just boom boom, and there goes the entire army. Alright. Now this is a level 4 tower, which means it's not going to stay debuffed for long, and there's only 1 war factory left and it's already heavily damaged. So I think Steel Saint is going to get this round simply because he's got that level 5 marksman. And there we go. And here goes the war factory. So well played, but right now Steel Saint should realize what Sacco is up to. Now Sacco is known to bait unnecessary defense from the opponent, so if he just had 1 war factory, you think that okay, he's just there to bait out a melting point. But now that he's got 2 war factories with double technology, it's a pretty clear signal that he's trying to stick with these units. So with Steel Saint, he has a couple options. He can either go Melter, which is the most conventional way. He can go Scorpion, which is not bad considering we already have sledgehammers. Or, in this case, he's going to go with Acid Crawlers, knowing that the path of these war factory are going to take is right in this box. And he already has so many crawlers, he's just going to sprinkle the acid, and once the acid is on, even a tarantula should be able to bring down a war factory fairly efficient. Alright. We got Napalm coming in from the Fire Badgers. Very interesting play. I'm not entirely sure what the point for that is, considering we already have so many tarantulas with range, and this should be enough to deal with the chaff. Another war factory coming in from the other side of the board. Still no definitive answer to this war factory. Right now, yes, we got acid on the ground, but acid is not so much of an answer. It's more of a delay tactic. Acid alone does not kill war factories. You need a unit that does the damage. And as you can see right now, that unit is non-existent, which means Sacco is going to win a huge round with 3 war factories still alive. Wow. And just like that, both players are down into triple-digit HPs. We got Iron Blast and we got Lightning Storm. Both are excellent cards. I think Iron Blast, yeah, works better for Sacco because the units are more bunched up together, or works better for Steel Saint on Sacco because the units are more bunched up together. Lightning Storm is better for Sacco against Steel Saint because of how many chaff he actually has. This game is really getting intense here because at any time, any of the players can knock their opponent out. Okay. Looking at Sacco's board, he continues to upgrade this side of the tower. He sold the War Factory because that was meant to use as a bait. He's trying to get a melting point here. Steel Saint did not take the bait. Interesting. I think he was confident that his level 6 marksman is able to bring down that War Factory. So no bait necessary. Now, what's Steel Saint's answer to these 2 level 2 War Factory? Because they're just going to run in, right? Is that going to be Ignite? No, that might be too late. And these are very forward-facing Fire Badgers. So Ignite's not going to be it. It's going to be Acid with some sort of damage. Now, the question is what kind of damage? I'm still leaning towards Scorpions. I think Scorpions are excellent with double shot, especially if the War Factory are standing on Acid. Scorpion can do a lot of damage to that. Melting Point is always on the table. Level 2 War Factory, you might need a level 2 Melting Point just to get that down before the War Factory moves too close to you. With Launcher Overload, these War Factories can power down a Melting Point in about 2 shots. And that's about, what? 2 seconds? Less than 2 seconds. Whoa. Whoa, the War Factory is getting through that. And look at this tower timing. Both War Factory are being stuck under the acid. And the tower timing is causing them to wiggle through the acid, and the acid is going to kill them. Acid is going to kill the War Factory, otherwise Sacco would have won the game. Wow. Such a clutch play here. Holy cow. Okay, so that brings us to another round. But just looking at the last round, right? Sacco was in a pretty dominant position. Whew, down to 133 HP. My goodness. Another Iron Blast is offered. And not only the Iron Blast is here, we also have a suite of other tools at the disposal of Steel Saint. We got Missile Strike, we got Underground Threat, we got Iron Blast. And I truly believe all Steel Saint really need is some late arriving Melting Point. And I don't even think Melting Point needs range. It just needs EM to disable the tech of the War Factory. And then the Melting Point would have outranged the War Factory. But instead, it's going to be Phoenixes at level 1. With EM, with range, okay? Maybe Steel Saint is worried about the anti-missile device, so the Melter's even EM barrage doesn't land on these War Factories. Could be. The Phoenixes, they do provide a much more reliable EM. But what the Phoenix does not provide is damage. And now with 2 level 3 factories, 575,000 HP each producing level 3 steel balls. I don't know. I don't know if Steelson can hold this. Well, let's see. First of all, we got Underground Crawler coming in here, and that is going to destroy these single pack of Crawler. We got Missile coming down, just for some minor chap here. And then, of course, we have the Iron Beam coming down here. The Iron Beam is going to brush the War Factory and is going to get these level 2 Stormcrawlers. And then on the other side, we also have Iron Beam coming in, taking multiple units. Ooh. Right now, these War Factories are hurting a little bit, but they are going to move forward. They are going to get the tower, and they are going to get the debuff. But are we looking at a very similar situation? It doesn't matter if you don't have enough damage for the War Factory. These guys are going to run across a field of acid. Oh my lord. These War Factories are going to fall again. And it doesn't matter what level you are, because acid does percentage damage. It could be a level 9 War Factory, and if you're stuck on this acid, it will still kill you. Wow. And because, yeah, there's one Phoenix left over. Ooh, Steel saying it's going to take another 100 damage. But is that Phoenix able to get that Tarantula? Because if it can, Sacco's still in the game. Ooh, now both players are still in the game for one more round. Crazy game. Holy moly. Bombard is probably the most natural option here. Senior Man is too late. Skill spec, maybe. Let's see if anything's off cooldown. Nope, nothing is off cooldown immediately. So it's going to be Bombard. On Steel Saint's side, he has Bombard. If he does decide to pick it, he's going to have Oil. He's going to have Smoke. Yeah, and there's Bombard. Sacco has Bombard and Smoke. I wonder if Sacco is just gonna mobile beacon a War Factory all the way to the other side of the tower, because that's all he really needs. He needs one of these War Factory to survive, and therefore he can win this game. Another War Factory is being added. It is the last round, so why not spend all your money? Steel Saint continues to not have a real answer for these War Factories. Continues to count on the Crawlers to the assets specifically to deal with these War Factories, and so far it's been working. He would have lost about 3 rounds ago if it weren't for these asset Crawlers. It's a tech that I almost never see in my games, and even though I run it, I rarely pick it. About the only time I do pick it is when I have Crawlers on the line against the flank. Speaking of the flank, Sacco has been selling all his Typhoons, so right now most of these units just there to provide a bit of a temporary distraction. Alright, so we got Oil, we got Fire, we got Mobile Beacon War Factory possibly going the wrong way. Why is this War Factory going this way? Most of the assets are going to be on this side of the board, and you are just going to walk right into them. Interesting. We got Phoenixes spinning around with the Mobile Beacon. Alright. The War Factory is going to walk into there. It's going to be exactly where they were before. The assets are killing all the War Factory here. One of them has already gone down. This one is taking percentage damage. It is level 4 though, and it continues to produce level 4 balls. But it looks like it eventually succumbed to the asset on the ground. What a crazy game between these two top players. Well played. I think at the end, I think Sacco could have just mobile beaconed this War Factory all the way to the left and up, and he would have saved maybe the round, if not the game. Well, I hope you enjoyed this game, and I will see you on the next one.
Prepare your tactics. Mechabellum's calling. Deploy your fortress. battlefields alive with swarms.